Hello there, and welcome back. I was working this morning, and my internet decided to have some technical difficulties. So it shut us down for a little while. I decided to make some food. I'm spending some time with my girlfriend this morning, and now we are back in order to animate some more. If you didn't catch us earlier, let me open up my chat. It would be nice to have just in case. There we go. And right now we're listening to some more Macro Blank. There's the album in chat. Previously on Bustling Kiwi, we were animating the hands here. So essentially this is a POV shot that we're working on where the hands are going to come out. He's going to kind of look at them and then flip them, and then the rest of space and time itself is going to materialize in front of him. He'll be a little shocked, and then we'll cut to a different shot. But right now we're working on the hand POV shot, and this is what we have of it so far. Haven't really done anything since we left off. It's a little choppy, it's a little messy. It doesn't exactly mirror itself. This is right here, this is really bad. But, you know, we're just trying to get the major motions in, make it all work. I'd really like to line up these fingers with the left finger. It almost does, but it's like just a couple frames off, I think. So like if we were to take all these frames, push them here, suddenly it's a bit better. We're gonna have to move these 2 frames back. We have some overlapping animation. But yeah, this is where we were, and we're just gonna pick off for where we're going. So right here, when the hands kind of curl, what I'd really like to do is I'd really just like to start that rotation right there. Right now, they curl and in, and then they rotate. We're just gonna delete those keyframes. I want them rotating immediately, practically, or as it's happening. So we can push all of these keyframes up a little bit. I'm gonna move them to 134, and it's already looking. I'd really like to move in a little faster though, so we're just gonna see what we can do. Oh, we'll fix that. Don't worry about it. There we go. Excuse me if I sound congested. I just had a little bit of milk with my breakfast this morning. In case you don't know, milk is I'm not sure what the term is exactly, but it generates mucus. Milk is a generator of mucus. So if you hear me going a fair bit, that would be why. Okay. Push this in a little. Is that for both of them? Yes. Maybe this needs to start a little bit sooner. By 4 frames, maybe? That's already looking a little better. Good to see, good to see. I have some coffee with me, and some water. So be sure to grab some coffee and water for yourself as well. Hope you are all enjoying your morning. We're gonna push these hands in just a little bit before they turn as well. So right now they're a little stiff and they just rotate a little. So we're just gonna whoop. That's all we need to do. And then we're literally just gonna push these out. Perfect. And then from here, we're gonna uncurl our fingers. So go to about frame 172. These look like really long. I think that's a big part of the FOV that we have our camera set to. But that matters not. Not right now, at least. Just gonna set these fingers kind of where I want them. Do the same thing for the thumbs. I have the thumbs set up. Okay. I have the thumbs set up a little differently on this rig than the fingers because I couldn't actually key them the way I wanted to without setting like a weird expression. And frankly, I try to avoid as much math as I can. I'm sure it's really easy, actually, but I couldn't figure it out quite enough. See the fingers when they curl? This is literally just moving it on the x-axis up and down. For the thumb, it's kind of weird because when it curls in, it's moving mostly on like the y and the z axis, the y and the z axis. I don't really pronounce my z's very well, so it was a little bit weirder to key, and I just decided I'll just move the thumbs myself. So here we are. Look at that. And we'll probably overlap this. Oh. So you start at 150, and you start where? 'Cause this one actually looks good. Starts at 122. Oh, I see. I think I see the problem. The right one doesn't actually move. Okay, cool. We're actually just gonna push this in a little bit, and then by 170, we're gonna want it to come out. And that means we're also gonna... We're getting close. I think we're gonna leave this keyframe. We're getting close. And now it's the left one that's weird. We'll add a bit more overlap here in a second. I'm just trying to get the major motions in. Get the timing right. All that fancy, snazzy, jazzy stuff. I really like how that comes out. What am I missing? It comes out in 15 frames. I'm gonna make that 60. That's what's going on. So we want to start at 160 and at 176. Cool. Nice. Just trying to catch things. I really like what the right one is doing. So let's push the thumb. This is kind of perfect. I do want this overlap to go to 180, so perfect. And now what we're going to do with the fingers is what we've been doing all this whole time. We're going to take the index finger and we're going to move the end keyframe back 4 frames. We're going to leave the middle where it's at, and we're going to take the ring and the pinky finger and we're going to push them 4 out. Followed with the pinky 2 more after that, and that creates that nice overlap. The little fingers overlapping, and we can adjust that by 2 frames if we really need to. But yeah, you see what we're trying to do. It's a little slow, so I'm just going to go ahead and fix that on the right hand by doing 2 frames. 2 frames back, ring and pinky 2 frames forward, with the pinky 2 more frames after that. Yeah, that looks better. 1, 2. 1, 2. Beautiful. So now we're going to take the thumb, and I think we're just going to push all of these keyframes back by 2. That's kind of what we're looking for. Good. Now we'll give them a little bit like some settling motion. So we'll take the hands and they'll they'll uncurl, and then they'll kind of like contract just a little bit more. Just a hint. So that's not like dead and stiff. And then we'll go ahead and move the hands in a bit. But first, and we're not going to do like some major overlapping motion. The fact that they have the 4 keyframes where they're already like offset means that they'll continue to be offset until the next keyframe, pretty much. And that's a little too fast. So we're gonna actually just let them settle for about half a second. Yeah, that's good. I want to do the same thing with the thumb. Hope everyone's getting excited for the holidays coming up soon. It's gonna be a good time for myself, and I wish the same for others. Just offsetting the animation by 2 frames as we move up the hierarchy on this thumb, because that gives it some nice character. Yeah, and now the hands, like, they really pop, which is exactly what we're looking for. Now it's time to just kind of move. I'm not worrying about splining it. You see this graph editor here? That's what's kind of in the middle of the screen. All of that weird, like, rainbow in the middle of the screen. Essentially, those are a display of our axes that we're using right here. You see the rotations. You have the red, which is our X. Z is our blue, and Y is our yellow, green. I know my colors. Essentially, that's what's displayed here in the middle, and that's our graph editor, and we can kind of adjust how those move in and out as our frames are placed in there. Anywho, that doesn't matter right now. That's usually the last step we're going to talk about. So we're going to go to 180, and we're just going to give our hands a little bit of slight movement and rotation out. In case you're wondering what he's doing and why we have a POV shot here, he has literally been thrusted into space, and he is materializing before his very eyes and your very eyes. Because he needs to get home. He needs to get through a door in order to get home. But he can't do that without getting, sucked into space. Which is, that's a typical every, like, Tuesday type deal at the office. Alright, see, now we have a little bit of slight motion. It's actually a little slow. But before I break anything and change anything too big, we're going to iterate our work. So should the file corrupt, we can just go back. Faster. I'm just going to name it faster. I always like to leave comments for myself. I probably shouldn't, but I do. Alright. Really, I think this motion is fine. It's actually the turning. Like, that's just way too slow, guys. It's way too slow. Like, what is going on? It's kind of all too slow. Which is a habit I have. I did it in college as well. All my animations were a little too slow. But that's okay. We're going to fix that. And we'll fix the elbows here in a second once I get the hands moving the way I want. We're literally just going like 2 frames or so. And this can be like 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. I like to have my keyframes on even numbers. If I really need to change them, I'll change them later. But it just kind of keeps things organized in my mind. In case you're wondering why it's giving this like weird ripping effect, like a water balloon when he's turning, it's because the elbows aren't aligned properly. But we can change that by just changing these 2 blue controls here. Those are our pull vectors, and they affect where the elbow's going. really... I think a lot of that slowness is actually coming from the fact that our fingers don't immediately start uncurling here. They take their time. Like, their fists were a little too long, aren't they? We need them to not be fists for so long. So when he goes into fist mode, we're just going to pull all of these keyframes forward. And I think we're going to delete these. And maybe... Okay. I just broke it. Okay. Hold on. Trying to find the answer. So about 140 is what I'm looking for. I see. Okay. Let's test this. We'll move the thumbs in a bit. We're getting closer. I think a lot of it's just stemming from this. But it also just starts a little too soon. Or a little too late. Like it should be going right here. Almost. I don't like messing with the keyframes this much. But I think if we move the hands a little bit, I think we might have what we're looking for. All right, let's move the thumbs back. Let's do it one at a time. So it's right here. Just want to make sure I'm doing this all correctly. So we are going to bring these back a couple frames, and then we're going to just kind of front load this animation. Cool. Good. And we're basically going to do the same thing here. Just going to drag everything back and then take whatever's at the back and move it a little bit in so it happens a little faster. And then you specifically about here, yep. Cool. And now I think a lot of the weirdness is just stemming from how the hands are moving, because they don't rotate forward. So like right here, it just looks strange because they're basically just like that. And that's just not normal. That's not what a hand's supposed to do. And he's in space. He should be floating. He floating. We're getting somewhere. Good. I think we achieved what we were kind of looking for. We moved the right keyframes. Alright, now let's just take a look at what it all looks like real quick. I always like to watch back just to make sure everything kind of feels right. Awesome. It's not like perfect, and we'll probably have to go in and do some final touch-ups later, but this is what we're looking for now. Now, things are going to start materializing. He's looked at his hands, he's kind of taken it in. Space is literally going to materialize. So, that's not what we want to do. In Maya, that might work. I don't know if Blender likes doing that though. In Maya, you can take a lot of objects, and if you scale them and they're like equal lengths apart, essentially you've effectively just moved them independently of each other, like apart. In Blender, it scales them as well, which, yeah, you know, I guess that's kind of what it's supposed to do after all. And as usual, nothing moves in a straight line. It always kind of moves on all axes. Perf. Yeah. We might just elongate that motion. So right now we're just kind of building motion so that space can, we can fade space in essentially. And then we'll give him like a little shocked, whoa. Yeah. So now we're gonna get the shocked motion about right here. So his hands are gonna pull back. Kind of get a little close to the screen. He's almost going to shield himself. But we just need some minor movements, some subtle movements, and we'll move the fingers in a second once we feel like we have the motion down. It should happen about right here. So actually we want this to happen a little faster. Now replicating this across, I guess we could do something. I don't know if I want to do that, but let's try. Well, what did you just do? Oh, there's a double keyframe. The left hand's kind of what we're looking for, the right hand. But, you know, they're kind of like iterations of the same thing. I like how much drag the right hand has. I like how the left hand almost feels like it's moving this way and trying to shield. But in the end, I think I'm going to go with whatever the right hand is doing, which means we need this keyframe to be deleted. Pushed inward a little. And then toward our main character. It's kind of crazy how I didn't manage to mirror. Like, what am I doing? By the way, if the internet happens to go out again, I'm just gonna continue to work on this myself in my own free time instead of streaming it. I don't know why my internet's deciding to be kind of doggy doo-doo, but you know, some days it is, some days it's perfectly fine. And honestly, I don't think it's actually my internet. I just think it's my network adapter. But we can blame it on the internet, not my hardware, of course. Yep. I like that. I like this little sudden movement almost. It's there. I'm getting somewhere. Alright. Start moving those fingers again. I'm getting a bunch of messages. Make sure it's nothing important. So right now we're actually just gonna curl his fingers a little bit. Excuse me. So I really want to give the sense that he's floating. And so everything kind of should flow, kind of like he's underwater, but in space. That's not what I care about. As you can see, we're making just minor adjustments and movements. This is nothing crazy. Really don't like how the hand's moving here. And this is where you would likely want to use the graph editor in an instance like this where everything kind of feels right about your motion and everything. It's just that it's why is it it say I'm offline? Am I offline? I guess I'm not offline. OBS is saying I am, but I guess I'm not. Anyways, back to what I was saying. The graph editors, this is kind of where, so all of the motion's right, but it's just not, so it's getting like stuck in place essentially. And it's actually not moving along the y-axis, which is our yellow, I don't know why I keep saying yellow, green indicator here. So if we go into our motion here, and I'm just gonna hide all of this, except for the Y location. Move to our cursor. You can kind of see there's some weird stuff going on here, but that we'll get to that later. So this keyframe is a little, we're just going to delete the keyframe for the y-axis, and now it should move smoothly for the neck between these frames. It's still kind of stuck in place. I think it's this one. It might be the Z. I mean, technically this would be the Z, but it seems to indicate that it's the Y. But if we look at our graph editor, I think, yeah, for some reason it is, in fact, Z. And now that we've moved this, and we'll just adjust it a little bit so it's a nice curve, it should, yeah. It just continues to move back. The thumb's doing something weird now. No, never mind, it's fine. And really, this shot's about to change, so we're just gonna do some extra slight motion and rotation on the hands. And then we'll mess with the fingers, and we'll cut. We'll cut on this action. And life will be good. What was that? The rotation of the hand here kind of makes it look like the hand is just kind of jostling forward. Instead of settling like the left hand, which makes me a little sad. What I might need to do is just try something like this. That feels a little better. And then the fingers can kind of do the thing. He's kind of like bracing for whatever's next. Let's view this whole thing. Practically, we're not like done, but we're practically like ready to move on. So he's looking at himself. It's like a black screen essentially. And then he does all this, and suddenly things are materializing. He's kind of like bracing. Good. Still some weird, funky movements. Like, what is going on with that left hand here? It's just kind of like, yeah, there's like an extra keyframe right there. You feel that? Yeah, that's better. Alright, we're doing it. Alright, let's move over. So we've done the POV shot. It needs some tweaking, like I said, but for the most part, this is exactly what we're looking for. And I hate that the hand just stops and the fingers keep going. Not that I think we will be cutting right here on this. I just hate seeing it, so we're just gonna give it a slight motion so it's not dead. That's okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and move over to cam 4. Yes. So this is essentially what's materializing naturally. It's this door. We could just bring the model over there. Except, I want to render it the way it is where he is. So we're not going to do that. Now, I might be able to copy all of the animations. Let's see if that works the way I want it to. So, before doing anything like this, as usual, we are going to save and iterate. And we're just going to leave a note for myself called copy anim. Alright, we've copied everything to the clipboard. Let's go select our boy's hands on this rig, and I'm kind of hoping this will work, because I like consistency between shots, and that's the one perk about 3D animation, is that it's always going to be consistent, pretty much, between shots. If you're not like breaking anything, of course, like you could break everything if you really wanted to, and then, hey, Blender, could you be nice? Thank you. Let's see here. Get the feeling this might not work, but if it does, hallelujah, you know? Right. I don't know. I've never actually done this, so I don't know if this works in the slightest. Let's just try copying the left hand. Copy. Blender, be nice. Thank you. No selected F curve space. Okay. This is not the end of the world. I thought this would work. I guess not. If I selected just this, and this as well as this and this. Blender's being awfully mean to me. Give me a second. There we go. Nope. Alright, well, I had to try. Anywho. Doesn't matter now. We will just kind of do this. If you have not checked out Macro Blank, by the way, this is what's playing in the background here. Highly recommend. I love their music. I think it's a Japanese jazz artist. band, I don't know actually, and I haven't really looked into them, but I listened to everything. And I think they just released something this morning, so I'll have to go and check that out soon. That is exciting. They usually release about once a month. Right now we're just posing our main mans. We should be setting our camera, but it's kind of like where the camera is gonna land. But I really want it to be like right in front of him. And then kind of like flip around and this is what's happening, and then the door will open and he'll kind of get sucked into it. That's what's happening here. So we're just posing. Yeah, we want that. Let's go ahead and switch him on. He looks a little strange, but it's because the pole vector is over here. I wish the default was local. I don't know why it's not. Ooh, I'm gonna have to do something fun with the tie here. Usually that's the last thing I touch, but I just kind of want to remind myself that the tie, we're in space and the tie is floating. Just kind of want to see how that looks. Yeah, that's fun. He is tie guy. It would be unfortunate if his tie wasn't really guying, you know? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. His arm's kind of sticking through here. I was so. Let's see. The left upper arm, yeah, shouldn't. What? Get out of here. Get out of here. You should be. Oh. Get out of here. Shouldn't be affected by the left upper arm. That's ridiculous. When you move your left shoulder, does your right shoulder start just pulling toward it, like some kind of gravity force? I didn't think so. Not typical behavior. I made the tie and IK control. In retrospect, I kind of wish I hadn't done that. But it's okay. What? Not everything's on the first frame. There we go. I could be doing this on Twitch. I don't know if I would get more traction there from like new viewers or not. That's my only question, is like, I really want to like market this short because I've spent so long on it. But I also want to show like my current viewers, and I know I don't have too many. I'm not saying, you know, it's like, streaming is like not my thing. It's like okay, I can do it. I don't like doing it as much as making videos or editing them. 'Cause I think a lot of the fun for me comes from, you know, editing in post, creating effects, creating narratives based off of my editing practices. And in streaming, it's kind of just a flat, hey, this is what we're looking at for the next 4 hours. And whether or not, like, I don't know who it was, but I was listening to someone, and they were talking about how streaming isn't content. And I 100% agree. Streaming isn't content, not in the slightest. You get moments within the stream, and that itself is content, but that's like a 30-second interval within a 4-hour span. So, you know, and who wants to, I don't know, who has the time to sit down and watch a streamer all the time? I miss pretty much every, I follow, I follow 3 guys on Twitch. And those would be Macy J. He plays Rainbow Six Siege. He just a really smart and interesting Siege streamer, I guess. His tactics are unique, and that's why I watch and play Siege. So it's good to see that, you know, incarnate. And then we have Bak Basup, and he plays Resident Evil stuff. So anything like horror related, I'll probably end up going to him. He's just a fun personality. He speed runs Resident Evil, so if you ever just want to sit in and enjoy a Resident Evil game, that would be the place to go, depending on what he's doing. I don't watch him often. And then Germa. Of course, everyone knows who Germa is. But I miss, like, all of their streams. So I kind of just watch their YouTube content. Or their VODs. And Germa's the only one I watch the VODs of. I wouldn't watch any of the other ones, I don't think, outside of their normal streaming hours. But that, like I said, like, who has the time to sit in on someone else's stream? That sure is strange. This is a problem of having auto key on. Alright, this is kind of what I'm looking for. This motion isn't what I'm looking for. This was accidental, but we're going to keep it for now because he will be kind of wibbling and wobbling in space. First, oh, this is a new album, by the way. There we go. I could listen to this album multiple times. Alright. So, we're going to actually go back into object mode. We're going to take this camera. We're going to set its keyframe, I'd say we want about it's about 1.5 seconds of a turnaround, so 36 frames. We're working on 24 frames a second. I'm going to queue all of its channels. Sometimes it doesn't let you, and I don't know why. I just want to make sure. Okay, good. Alrighty. And we're going to go ahead and move it. Come with me. So we've just cut from the POV view to this, essentially. That's what we're trying to do. And whenever I set shots up like this, I try to get the framing right, but I also try to get the silhouette to look kind of interesting. So, you know, he's bracing, so we're going to have to move his hands a little bit more. So they should be kind of out like this. And then his arms can kind of fall to this. His expression is always this to start out with. It's kind of perfect for him, because that's his expression for most of the short film. But anyways, that is kind of what we're looking for. We're going to pull out here just so 18, that would be halfway. So I want this to be some kind of like grand reveal of the door. Because in the POV shot, the door's not going to be there. But then here, it basically is. And now, I'm going to copy this keyframe. I'm going to push it to 46. And what I want to do, actually... Ooh. Okay. Is I kind of want it to pull out. And we're even gonna change the focal length a bit. We sort of need the focal length to be a bit broader here. Yeah, we'll do a 45 millimeter. Push it, and then it goes up. Oh, well, let's make this go down. And so here we're gonna also, oh, it's already keyed. Good. I really just want to get the grand scale of this door, so we're gonna pull out 40 millimeters here. And we can push our camera in just a hair. I want him to be floating in space, and I want the scale to be grand. That's a little too extreme. See if we deleted this keyframe. Let's push this back to 36 and see if that changes how we view this. I think I have the play. That's half a second. We're gonna do just a little bit more, so we're gonna go to 54. That's 3/4 of a second. A lot of, in 3D animation, it's very common to take the frame and move it when it doesn't really need to. A lot of people think, oh, I have all this freedom, so they try to use it all. And I don't think that's a good practice. However, I'd like to think it doesn't apply here. It doesn't apply to me. I'm a professional. I'm not a professional. I'm just saying, you know, I try to be aware of it. I try not to move the camera too much. There's a couple shots in the last sequence of this short film that the camera's moving around a bit. And I hope it's not too much. Literally, I don't think the camera moves around that much until the final act, the final sequence, and then it starts moving around a fair bit. Hopefully it's not too much. See, this is a little strange. So like, it's almost like it pushes in. It doesn't exactly round itself very well. See, like right here. I don't know what. It's because, yeah, it's not arcing. It doesn't arc until here. So what needs to happen is, we need to push this somewhere like right here. Don't know, Chad, I don't know. I'm not really liking it. I think it's because right here it just suddenly stops and then pulls back. Maybe if I pushed it off just a hair. I'd be happier. It's gonna change this though. Let's see. Might be because it doesn't move far enough back. And now it's moving a little too fast. Let's delete this keyframe. That feels a little bit better. It's a little more floaty and loose. Right here, I really like how this ends. Because his arms are gonna go from like bracing to like, he's floating. This guy's floating in space. I really want to accentuate that. It's just this motion, I think, is really bothering me. Maybe what we need to do is... Is that it? That might have been all that we needed to do, is delete that one weird keyframe. I like it when things like that work itself out. My coffee's getting cold again. The next thing we'll do though is we're gonna make ourselves some hot chocolate. Because after we've had too many cups of coffee, I get a little jittery and I get a little scared for my heart. You never know when that thing's gonna pop. Hopefully not soon. I'm gonna take a look at Discord real quick. I was getting a couple notifications. Oh, it's nothing important. There's a video I'm kind of working on in the side. Yeah. A video I'm kind of working on in the side. I'm gonna gather a couple friends for it and see what I can do. See if I can't do that Sunday night. It's related to multiplayer games, obviously. And then there's also something I need to do some research on and sit in on a session for myself. It's a role-playing game. This is related to the same video, so we'll see. I kind of want to do a mix of gaming content and animated content, or short-form skit-type content. But I know my expectations are a little high for what YouTube actually is, so I spend a lot of time trying to perfect everything, which is why I have spent the entire year on a 6-minute short. Obviously, a little insane. Something's wrong over here. But I do it for the love of the game. Because I just enjoy making stuff, you know? Alright. So we cut from the POV shot. And I need him bracing a little bit here. He has